Hey folks, this is Sean with the CubeCast. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to cook some white rice up on a Trangia alcohol burning stove. The Trangia is extremely popular among the survivalist community, as well as a lot of backpackers will use the Trangia when they're going hiking and backpacking as an alternative to propane fuel. And the reason I'm making this video is to show you how easy it is to cook food without the use of electricity or natural gas. In the case of an emergency, whatever that emergency may be, you and your family may find yourselves in a situation where you don't have access to your stove, meaning electricity or natural gas, whatever you use in your neighborhood, in which case you're going to have to find an alternative in order to cook food. So a real easy and cheap food to stockpile in the case of an emergency is a long grain white rice. And you can also stockpile this 91% isopropyl alcohol, which can be used as your fuel to actually cook your food. So this can get you through some hard times, some emergencies, and can keep your family healthy until you can figure out a bigger plan or the food runs out. I can't stress enough that you cannot rely on your government or the state to feed you in an emergency. You've seen what has happened with COVID and how the grocery stores, the shelves are picked clean fairly quickly when people start to panic. So if we're ever in a situation where there's an EMP attack, false flag, military conflict, alien invasion, etc., those grocery store shelves are going to be bare in less than 24 hours, and you're going to have to come up with a plan after that to survive, or you're going to be shit out of luck. So we're going to go ahead and get this video going. I've already put, this is the Trangia right here, and just to show you here real quick, I went ahead and I bought this as a kit, and I've got this is a pot stand that comes with the kit that I bought, but some people just buy the stove here. Just the stove by itself. It comes with a lid, okay, and there's a little black O-ring in here, so you can, like if you're a backpacker, you can go ahead and fill it up, before you go on your trip, seal this up, and you can actually store this in your backpack. I don't know. Some people have concerns about leaking. This is one of the best alcohol stoves on the market. Just go ahead and Google Trangia. You're going to come up with all sorts of rave reviews about this thing. And if you get on YouTube, there's a whole community of people that are just dedicated to kind of, it's centered around this Trangia stove. They've figured out kind of cool ways to build their own homemade pot stands and stuff like that. In this case, I just went with one that was manufactured. It's really nice. It's real sturdy. One thing with this rice recipe, you're going to need a simmer plate. So if you can't afford a Trangia, they're not super expensive, but if you can't afford one and you're on a budget, there are some knockoffs on Amazon that look exactly like this. They're maybe $10 cheaper, but just make sure that you get this simmer plate here. When you're cooking rice, you're going to need to simmer the rice. And so this little lid right here, you can close and adjust the flame, or you're basically adjusting the heat here on the Trangia. And this will allow you to control your heat and kind of turn it down when we're in the simmer mode here. So this recipe calls for, 2 parts water to 1 part rice. So we're using 1 cup of water here, right here, and then we're going to use a half a cup of rice to do this. And what we're going to do first is we're going to bring this water to a boil. I've already added 3 ounces of alcohol into the Trangia. It does hold around 4 ounces, they say, at full capacity, but we're not going to need that for this scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and light this up. And after I light it up, I'm going to turn off the lights just to kind of show you guys what it looks like when it's lit. Sorry. You know what? Let me do this. Okay. So I just lit the end of a paper towel there to to go ahead and light it up. Let me see if we're live here. Okay, so, all right, so our flame is not lit. I'm going to go ahead and try this again. Okay, it looks like we're good. And I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like with the lights off. Okay, so there's our flame. We know we're good to go, and we're going to go ahead and boil our water at full strength here. And then once the water boils, we're going to put our rice in here, put our simmer plate on. We're going to simmer the rice for about 20 minutes. I've got a timer set up, and we can kind of judge the time. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our pot on the pot stand here. 1 cup of water. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover this up, and this water will come to a boil a lot faster if you cover the pot up. This particular cover on this pot has a little hole for venting, and I went ahead and put a little piece of tin foil in there to make sure that no steam can escape, so we can make the most out of the alcohol that we're burning in here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. I'm going to move the rice over here. I'm going to start the timer so you guys can see this. And we're going to see exactly how long it takes for the Trangia stove to boil 1 cup of water. And while we're waiting, if you guys want to look at the box here, okay, that is the stove right there. I got this off Amazon. I don't know how much I paid for it, but it's super cool. Oh, it says made in Sweden by Trangia, and like I said, this is a whole thing on the internet. If you Google Trangia, you'll see all sorts of rave reviews about this thing being a survival stove, as well as just something that backpackers take into the backcountry with them to cook their food. So it's a really great alternative. It's very easy to stockpile this 91 iso alcohol. I've got a whole bunch of it in the house, and so I am confident that if there's ever an emergency situation, I'll have plenty of fuel right here to feed my family for as long as it takes until I can, figure out a better plan. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to speed the video up right here, and we're going to come back when the water is boiling. Okay, folks, so we're back, and we're right here at the, let me see here. Right here at the 8-minute and 25-second mark. If you see there, the water is clearly boiling. That took a little longer than I expected. I'm using a pot from the kitchen. It's kind of a thicker pot. Some people who use the stove like to use that thinner kind of titanium camping pot gear, which may bring your water to a boil quicker. In this case, I just used what I could find in the kitchen. So about eight and a half minutes, not too bad. We're going to go ahead and pour our rice into the boiling water here. And then I'm going to go ahead and stir it up a little bit. Okay. Kind of get it acclimated to the water. Okay. We're going to put our lid back on. We're going to bring it back to a boil. And then once it's boiling again, we're going to go ahead and put that simmer plate on there. And we're going to simmer it for 20 minutes. After it's done simmering for 20 minutes, we're going to take it off the burner and let it sit for 5 minutes, let it absorb that water, and hopefully we're going to come up with a tasty pot of rice that you're going to be able to feed your family with in the case of an emergency, using only alcohol and an alcohol burner, which is really cool, I think. It's a great survival technique. And like I said, rice is cheap. You can stockpile it. I use a vacuum sealer, so I seal all my rice in bags, and I put them in darkened black totes. It needs to be covered from the light. You don't want any light going into your totes or your storage, whatever you're using for storage. And if you do that, white rice can last up to 20 years, easy, if you're storing it properly. Okay, so you can see here our rice has already come back to a boil. Okay. So, oh boy. Oh shoot. Okay. So I am going to take this off. Okay. And then we're going to put on our simmer plate right here. And I'm going to close this puppy up. Maybe about right there. Okay. So maybe a quarter way, and we're going to see if that's going to give us a nice simmer here. Okay, so the rice is simmering already. I may have to open that a little bit more, but so far we've got a really nice simmer, so I'm going to go ahead and set this timer, and we're looking at about 20 minutes here. Okay. Yep, and that simmer's looking good. So we'll come back in 20 minutes and see what we've got. Okay guys, so we're at the 17.5 minute mark here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this rice off and let it sit for about 5 minutes. The reason I'm pulling it off, I know I told you guys at the beginning of the video that we were going to cook it for 20 minutes. The reason I'm pulling this off is because I feel like most of the liquid has been boiled off in the pot. I'm not seeing any bubbles coming up anymore. Excuse me. I did have to adjust the simmer a couple times during the process. At one time it looked like it was a little too hot, so I went ahead and turned it down to make sure if you boil rice at too high of a temperature, it's going to burn at the bottom of the pan. You're going to have rice stuck to the bottom of the pan. You don't want that. So I think 17.5 minutes was a safe simmer for this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. And then we are going to, we're going to come back in about 5 minutes. We're going to fluff it up and we're going to see just how well this rice came out. I'm going to go ahead and put out the burner here as well. So if you've got the simmer lid on your alcohol burner here, you can just go ahead and close it. Okay, I'm using a glove and just a fork. I'm just going to muffle it out there. Okay, we're going to let that cool off. So we're going to let our rice sit for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back, fluff it up, and see how it came out. Okay, folks. So we're right here at the 5 minute mark, just a little bit after, and I'm going to go ahead and fluff up this rice, put it on a plate, and we're going to give it the final taste test and see if this is suitable for a survival situation, and I'm pretty sure that it is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fluff this up. You see that steam coming off there? That means it was good and hot. All right. Ooh, looks great. Oh, this came out so good. Look at that. Nothing stuck. If you see right there, there's nothing stuck to the bottom of the pan. Like I said, I had to adjust the temperature a couple times. You're gonna have to watch this. You know, if your flame is too hot, you're gonna have to take it off and you know, kind of cool it, turn it down so that your rice doesn't stick. But this is looking fantastic, absolutely fantastic. You see that nice steam coming off there. Go ahead and plate this up. Okay. I'm going to put all the rice on there so you guys can see what this will cook. So I used 3 ounces of alcohol. I probably didn't have to use that much. I could have probably got away with using 2 ounces of alcohol, but I just wanted to be safe. Okay. So that's how much rice you're getting out of this recipe. And in a survival situation, you know, your wife and your kids are going to be grateful that they have this, along with whatever other food that you want to cook on your stove. Like I said, I stockpile beans as well, pinto beans, stuff like that. And those come loaded with you know, minimal amounts of protein and some minerals and stuff like that. But it's definitely survival. You know, you can put some salt in here, some iodized salt for your family. If you've got butter stored, you can put that in there as well. But you can get by on this for a very long time and in an emergency situation until you figure out another plan. Okay, folks, so here is the taste test. We're going to taste this rice. I'm going to make sure that it's not hard, that it was cooked properly, and that our times were correct with this alcohol stove. I'm going to get a little forkful here. Oh my God. That came out so good. Perfect texture. Not too, you know, not too rigid, not too soft and pasty. This is just right. Take another bite here. That came out fantastic. So this experiment succeeded. And if you look at this bottle, guys, I only used 3 ounces of alcohol, and I didn't even need to use that. And you can see that this bottle is still almost full. Okay, we got 32 ounces in here. So, you know, you can get these at Walmart for like a couple bucks a piece. You know, get a couple cases of these. Get a couple 100 pounds of rice. And make sure that in an emergency situation, your family is going to be fed until such time as you can figure out, you know, an alternate plan. Because like I said, do not rely on the government or the state to feed you, because they can't and they won't. Thanks for tuning in.